Okay, we're back. Hey guys, so we recently started our Build in Public video series, and we launched our first video a couple of days ago, and the feedback has been amazing and made us feel really good about the fact that what we're building is something a lot of people resonate with. But it also helped us understand that, hey, there are gaps in our communication. There are ideas that we're not communicating well enough, and we need to do a better job. And we got some amazing questions, and we are here to answer some of these top questions.
Ani and I have spent so long building this. We genuinely love how many people want to join our mission. Honestly, at the end of the day, even if we aren't the solution, but Numberlessness gets adopted, I wouldn't feel particularly bad about that. If someone else can do it better than us, don't tell our investors this. I wouldn't mind. I really wouldn't mind.
Okay, first question. How is it different from a messenger-like session, which also does not use phone numbers? Well, that's a pretty simple answer. Session, true, does value privacy, and yes, they do not use phone numbers. However, what they do is instead of your phone number, they use a high entropy identifier for you called a session ID. This might not be as sensitive as a phone number, but it is still a persistent identifier for you. So if session does become popular, if people get to know your session ID, they can spam you and they can aggregate data around your session ID. Now WhatsApp is where our attention moved to. But now WhatsApp is also a place of spam. Their entire business model relies on helping companies spam you and ensuring that the spam does not exceed a limit where you get out of WhatsApp. Now, with Port, the one thing you can be sure of is every connection you have on Port is something that you actually wanted. Even if it's not, you can disconnect, walk away, and never bother about it ever again. So Port spamming is impossible. If your attention moves from WhatsApp to Port, and if you start using Port as your primary place where you talk to the people that you actually want to talk to, then even if you get a lot of spam on WhatsApp, it's not going to bother you because your attention is no longer on WhatsApp. Port, on the other hand, has no persistent identifier for a person. So when I connect with somebody, no persistent identifier is shared. That makes every connection fundamentally reversible because I can disconnect with them without worrying about unnecessary follow-ons or my ID being shared with other people that I don't want to talk to. Okay, next question. All right, if I were to create a link QR, how do I share to a person who's not nearby? I would have to share it over WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, email, which has my identifiers anyway. We've realized that there are only 4 ways that people connect. The first way people connect is if you meet somebody face to face. In the conventional case, you would be exchanging your phone number. In Port, you would basically show a QR code and you're connected. The second way people connect is, let's say you meet somebody online. Let's say you meet somebody on Reddit or LinkedIn, or let's say you meet somebody on email and you want to form a chat. You would probably exchange your phone number or handle over that context. Well, in this case, you would convert a port into a link and exchange it over that context. The third way people connect, and this is one of the most popular ways that people connect, is by contact sharing. Suppose Abhi has a friend and Abhi wants me to talk to that friend. Now, Abhi would connect me with that friend by sharing my phone number with the friend. Now, this is obviously the most popular way that we connect. However, it has one major drawback. I don't get to control who can connect me with other people. And this is what Port completely fixes. On Port, only the people who you authorize can connect you with other people. Only these people can create ports that connect to you. The fourth way in which people connect with other people is by publishing their contact info on some public portal. Now, this is a very important use case because if you publish your phone number on a public portal, you can never retract it. It's there forever. It's out there forever. But however, you can create reusable ports which are only good for the number of connections that you allow for it. So you can create a specialized reusable port for just let's say LinkedIn that's only good for let's say 500 connections over it. And if you get overwhelmed by the number of connections coming in, you can just pause it or delete it completely. So this essentially makes broad connectivity or publishing your contact info kind of safe because now you get to control the floodgates. completely. Basically, for every situation in which you would use contact information, you can use a port instead and be completely assured that you're not exposing any sensitive information and you're not losing any control over how people can access you. Somebody mentioned, hey, can't you block numbers to restrict a certain person from calling us? Well, you certainly can do that, but it's a half measure. If I block, let's say, Abhi's number, yeah, Abhi can't call me with his phone, but he can just as easily grab a friend's phone or somebody else's phone and still keep bothering me. Or he can use some of these services that are available that mask your phone number and still bother me quite a bit. A port is a full measure. When you disconnect with somebody, you've exposed no identifier that they can reach you by. By doing this, when you disconnect with somebody on port, the disconnection is final until you consciously decide to connect with them again.
This comment that you see here on your screen, that summarizes about 70% of the questions I've been getting. The first one, why use port when we match the features of everyone else? Well, honestly, with port, we weren't trying to revolutionize the chatting experience. We wanted to focus on the connecting experience because that's what we feel was broken. You don't really need much from the messaging app besides sending messages, text, media, calling people maybe. But connecting was what has been broken all this time, and that's what we focused on. And that's something we feel that no one else has done an adequate job of fixing.
A quick history lesson here. So this is how we see the evolution of personal messengers. First came something as simple as BlackBerry Messenger or iMessage, which did single platform messaging really well. Then came your cross-platform messengers like WhatsApp, which solved the problem of cross-platform messaging. And they did that really well. Then people realized, hey, we're doing cross-platform messaging, but that messaging is not private. We need to make it private and secure. That's when Signal came in and introduced end-to-end encryption and made the chat experience more private along with cross-platform. Now the next addition in the value chain is to give users the ability to control access to themselves. And that's just not possible if you have a persistent identifier for yourself that leads to more connections, because then you don't get to control who has that identifier or phone number. You don't get to control how they use it. Port is very clear about what it's changing. We're not changing the chat experience, we're changing the connecting experience.
Privacy and security are two closely related but distinct things. Signal added privacy, but what they really did was they changed security. They made it the standard to have end-to-end encryption. Now, anywhere you go, any messenger you see, you just expect it to be end-to-end encrypted, and if it isn't, you drop it. So security is what Signal added. Privacy, that's a little more open to debate. At Port, we think that you can't really be private if you are required to give your phone number to everyone you see and want to connect with.
Legal compliance, data handling, retention. Yeah, this is a very good question. Look, guys, we are offering communication as a service. And in terms of what we hand over to authorities, if there is a legitimate request, we can only hand over the information that we have collected. And if you've been through our onboarding, you will know that we don't require you to submit any sort of phone number, email, or anything like that.
We can say that it's up to the people on our app to help keep everyone safe on the internet, even on Port.
We have a great question about legacy systems and how they use SMS for everything. That is certainly a problem. And that's a problem that's going to become more acute when people realize how unsecure traditional SMS infrastructure is. In fact, there is a great video by Veritasium that I suggest you guys look at, how easily your phone number can be taken over, etc. SMS used to be our default mode of communication. Now SMS is just basically a glorified spam folder which we use, or which we still have, just to get OTPs for our transactions. Now, yeah, exactly. SMS spam does not bother us anymore because our attention isn't there. We barely open that app unless we have to see an OTP that we have to use to log into a service. There are a couple of ways in which we're different from Telegram. Number one, security. End-to-end encrypted chats are not default on Telegram. So it's a simple server-based messenger where most of your messengers still live plain text on the server. So that's why you can log in from your computer, you can log in from your phone, log in from any device, and all of your messages are still available because end-to-end encryption is not default on Telegram.
This isn't something that they hide either. There's plenty of criticism about Telegram's cryptography, and even if you believe everything they're saying, they don't claim that chats are end-to-end encrypted by default. Another thing we see is the crypto community. They tend to use Telegram, particularly Telegram groups. Telegram groups are not end-to-end encrypted. There is no way you can be end-to-end encrypted and still support over 1 million people in a single chat in any form of end-to-end encryption that's worth using.
Exactly.
Anyone will attest to this in the crypto space. We still have a lot of bugs to work out. We have ways we can be better, but join us in this journey, and I promise you, we will take you someplace that you might not hate.
Try onboarding on Port. The onboarding is literally one step. You enter a name and you're in. That's it. We don't ask for a phone number, an OTP, an email, password, nothing. There's no account creation process. So try onboarding on Port, and then you'll realize, hey, this is truly private, truly secure. At the grocery store, the next time the clerk asks you for your phone number, keep in mind, you don't have to go along and give them your information. You can say, no, I don't want to give my information. You're still a consumer. It's not like they're going to deny you your groceries just because you don't want to give them your personal information. If they do that, that is literally illegal. Even if it's not illegal, their business model will not last if nobody wants to buy their groceries. So say no next time a large company asks for your personal information.
You can see Ani's true free market beliefs coming into play here.
Right, exactly. Make better decisions about what you do with your data and who you share it with, and decide to use applications that respect your time and attention.
With spam, there is no silver bullet. There isn't one solution to the entire problem. We do have to go slow. It's a consistent, persistent effort by all of us. It's if you want to see companies adopt numberless technology to connect on your terms more consensually, then we need your help. We need you to sign up. We need you to support us in any way you can. We need to show people that people want to be connected with consensually. But in the meantime, you can do what I do. My lazy solution to this problem: just turn on Do Not Disturb on your phone, and let Port be the only app that bypasses it. Works pretty well for me. I get no noise. I just get my family messaging me. Keep the comments coming, bros. Smash like, hit the bell icon, subscribe. See you in the next one.
Hello, I got places to be.